Freezer meals, Holly. Winter is a time when some people like to cook, some people don't like to cook. What do we need to know about proper freezer meal preparation, storage, and use?
Sure. So freezer meals are a way to, especially if you're busy, you're working, and maybe you have children, you take them to different activities, or yourself, maybe you go to the gym or something after
And this is not just a winter thing.
No, you can do this year round. But people tend to do it more towards the winter because now it's getting colder out. We're being in our houses more. And maybe you're not as busy on the weekends. You could freezer meal or meal prep like on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay. What do we need to know? What are some mistakes that people make in the freezer meal preparation agenda here?
So you want to use proper freezer bags.
Not the El Cheapo ones you got on sale.
Right. Okay. So they should say freezer bag on them versus just like a storage bag. They're going to be made of a little bit thicker plastic, and they're going to become more effective in keeping out the what's it called? The frost?
Yeah, the freezer burn.
Freezer burn. Yeah, so that's one thing is you use proper freezer bags. You don't have to invest in like a vacuum sealer or anything like that. You can just use freezer bags. That's fine. You want to also make sure you plan ahead for space in your freezer. I'm going to make this freezer meal, but my freezer is full of XYZ. Well, that's not good.
That every week. I got to make sure you have my mic on. Can you hear me, folks?
Yeah.
Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. It is raining cats and dogs here today. Yesterday there was snow on the ground and freezing. Welcome to Ohio. It's supposed to snow later this week.
Yeah, we don't need any more dogs, and we certainly don't need any cats.
No. Our last cat's in Louisiana.
Yeah, it's chasing alligators.
Chasing alligators, yeah. I'm chasing something down there in Louisiana. I don't know. Good. Thank you. Back to Rootstead. Yep. Copper Kettle, it is showtime.
You betcha.
Where's those dancing girls? You can have some of them get up there and do the can or something. That'll bring in people.
Well, maybe we should...
as long as there's no music, they can do that.
Maybe we should start asking some of our mods in here if they want to put together
we can Garden for Cheap.
A chorus line or something.
Garden for Cheap can do it. Kiss My Grass.
I mean, we got Fairy Tale in here. And
we can have the mods do the can. What do you think, folks? No? We have Nathan's not in here yet. Jason's not in here yet. So we got two guys.
They'll get here. All right.
Yep. No, Smudge does not need a basset hound. You're very funny. Have you ever seen a big dog try and paw a little animal? Woof, they're gone. So, our guests tonight are a repeat. They even contacted us and want to come back on. They're in Wisconsin, so they're cheese people.
Cheeseheads, right?
Cheeseheads.
Cheeseheads.
Yeah, that's what.
Yep.
Hey, Mac the Knife, long time no see. Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners. They have a podcast, and
radio show.
Radio show, yes.
Radio show all over the country.
That's right. Mm-hmm. They have Kiss My Grass. Yeah, Red. I would like to see you do the can in your chair. So they have a great radio show. It is worth looking for it and listening to it.
Well, and you'll find out here tonight how you can access it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mama Z's here. Grizz is here. Everybody hide your cats. Let's bring them out.
Bring them out?
Bring them out.
Okie dokie.
Let's make them talk.
Here they
Earn
are.
Keep.
Joey and Holly.
Joey and Holly. And Holly has a new hairdo. I saw that on Facebook the other day.
Yep.
Well, thank you for having us.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes. So, 40 degrees in Wisconsin, so I'm guessing that you're not doing a whole lot of planting right yet.
Not yet.
We've started some stuff indoors, but the outdoor planting procedure is going to be late as usual, it seems to be.
When do you, being in Wisconsin, about when do you plant outside? When is it safe?
On a good year, we'll plant our cool weather crops
Like April 1st.
April 1st. We have, 2016 was a different year. We had leeks and onions in the ground March 16th,
Yeah.
and that's never happened again.
No, and last year we had snow until almost end of April or something.
Yeah.
So-
Was it 2 years we planted everything in the garden, and
Then lost
Mother's
it.
Day, everything froze.
Yeah.
So we're just better off waiting until Memorial Day weekend.
They always say it's better to plant once and the second time with your neighbor.
I'd like to plant my neighbor.
So interestingly enough, you folks don't have a 6-acre garden and a large farmstead, so to speak. You have all this done in a smaller environment, and yet you research everything that needs to be done, and you do some experimentation and share that out. Is that do I have the story correct on that?
That's correct. So where we live, we have a very small front yard garden, and that's because we rent. So we have that, and then in my mom's house, she has a really large city lot, and we have a 1,800 square feet garden, and we're gonna bring that down to some raised beds. And why are we doing that, Joey?
Tired of weeding. We've weeded the way everybody says you should weed, by removing the roots, by digging all the plant out of the all the plant roots out of the soil, and we've done that, and it's just gotten worse and worse. So instead of 1,800 square feet that we've previously had, that you can see on our videos, we're going to 372 square feet in raised beds, and by our calculations, it's just going to be about a $600 investment, no weeding, and then we should have or the equivalent or exceeding the amount of production out of that 372 because we brought in good compost than we had in the 1,800 square foot in ground. And we are very excited to do that. And any of those of you who have done raised beds, the most difficult and time-consuming part of it is building the beds and putting the compost into it. And after that, it's, sit on the porch and watch stuff grow. It's pretty easy.
Well, plus I'm sure you'll still get some weeds find their way. They jump right up into those beds.
Well, true, but not to the magnitude in which we've had, and many of your subscribers are older of age, and as well as you are, and they've always said you get smarter with age, and we've gotten smart enough that we're tired of weeding, and we're going to go to a raised bed system and enjoy gardening a little bit more than what we have.
So what's your favorite thing to grow in your garden?
I like growing tomatoes and beets.
Green beans is something I like.
Squash. You guys say squash.
Well, squash too.
Yeah.
Zucchini, green beans.
Okay, on your tomatoes, are they determinate or indeterminate?
Both. All indeterminate, determinate, semi-determinate. Yeah.
Okay.
And we try to do a mixture with anything farming or gardening. You don't want to have one variety across the board. You want to have multiple varieties. So if one does fail or doesn't produce as you would hoped, you have backups. That's the way we did it. I grew up on a farm in southern Illinois, and that's the way we did it. We had 5 or 6 different varieties of wheat and soybeans and corn, and we had hogs and pigs, so if hogs and cattle. So if one element failed, you had multiple backups that you weren't dead in the water with.
Sure. So do you have additional structures planned for on top of your raised beds? Maybe some small hoop houses type, if you would, to extend the growing season?
We have looked at that. The one thing that we will put up is a trellis for cucumbers and pole beans. The hoop house may be an addition that we add later on in this season or early next season, depending on what we decide and how it works out with the raised beds.
Okay.
So, it's definitely an option. We rule nothing out. So we're very excited with this raised bed. It's just the procedure of putting the lumber together and then hauling 8.5 yards of compost over into these raised beds with a wheelbarrow because of the situation in the lot that we're in. But other than that, I think it'll be well worth the effort that we'll put forth up front.
And somebody's asking here if you grow okra.
We do grow okra. Okra, Holly doesn't like okra.
Yeah, okra's gross.
I agree, Holly. I agree. I'm with you on that one.
Now, okra does grow very well in Wisconsin Zone 5A. However, you do not get the palm tree type of okra that you see in some videos from Louisiana or Alabama or Georgia. Our plants are much shorter, but you do get a good amount of okra. Now, what we have also found is if you take that okra, some people will pickle it. It's got that slimy consistency to it. However, if you dehydrate it, that slimy consistency dissipates, and it almost turns into like a potato chip type of texture that you can throw into soups and stews, or just eat as a dry piece of okra.
Slimy,
Holly doesn't like either option there.
slimy potato chips, huh?
Yeah, well, when they're dehydrated, they're kind of crunchy, so you don't have that slime in the dehydrated portion or the type of it.
Yeah, cold,
But yeah, okra
Bear
grows
Ranch
very
is
well.
saying okra's gross.
Okay.
I agree. I'm
There's-
not an okra lover.
There's a definite
No.
love-hate relationship with okra. You either love it or you hate it. I don't think there's any in between.
There's 135 different varieties of okra in the world, so maybe there's one that the haters can find and enjoy, but
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
that's
doubt it.
okay.
Yeah, since I'm the one who makes the vegetables in the house, that's one vegetable that doesn't come into this house.
And Stringfield Ridge is saying, I love okra.
Yeah,
Raw,
she does.
dehydrated,
I
pickled.
know. She talks about it all the time.
So,
But yeah, it can be grown here in southeast Wisconsin.
okay, well, share with us, if you would, because you do have this, I hope I'm using the proper verbiage, a syndicated radio show, which is shown virtually all over the country, or played all over the country, various states.
It's not exactly syndicated, but it's that we're in 16
Well, 16 stations,
9 different markets,
10 different
markets.
10 different markets.
So so we are almost coast to coast. Our location in California is not quite on the coast.
We're very pleased with what we have been able to accomplish, and I'll tell the story here of how this works. With most Garden Talk radio shows or shows in general, the station brings in a host and says, "Okay, you're expert in this field: politics, sports, gardening, golf, water, fishing, whatever. So we're going to pay you X amount of dollars to talk about it for an hour, and here's where you're going to have the breaks and all this stuff." So that hour is really like 27 minutes to 32 minutes based on the station. With the way we do our program is we buy the airtime via our sponsors, and then we have the control of the entire hour, whether that's 54 minutes or 53 minutes with news at the top of the hour. Some stations, like the Michigan station, opts out of that news at the top of the hour to allow us to have that additional 7 minutes of content for our program, and that's how we do it. We negotiate with these stations to get the best rate possible, and we reached out to this year we're on 16 stations. I think we reached out to about 40 or 50 to get those, and a lot of times it goes ignored. Nobody responds back because we say, "Hey, we have a Garden Talk show. Here's a sample. We're willing to pay. What is your hourly rate?" And very few get back to us, and even fewer get back to us that says they're interested.
And some of them come at us with some astronomical rate, like.
Well, we won't give numbers,
right,
but you could buy 2 very nice cars for what one station offered, and I said.
And then we say no, and then sometimes they'll say, "Well, what do you think, or what do you want to pay, or whatever?" And we counter offer, and then sometimes it works out for us, and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah.
But you, this is generated through the sponsors of your program.
Yes.
Yes.
And by all means, go through the list. I'm going to have you do this 3 or 4 times tonight. I want everybody to know this.
The sponsor, grab the sheet right there. It's behind that. The sponsors are Power Planter Earth Augers. They are the presenting sponsor for the program. Then you have, he's going to get me the list here. I think it is. Yeah. Power Planter Earth Augers, Ivy Organics, Root Maker, Grow Trays, and Grow Bags. You can use coupon code TWVG to get 10% off of that or for your order. Pomona Universal Pectin, Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated. They make the pump sprayers and the push fertilizer units. Power Planter, Tomato Snaps, World's Coolest Floating Rain Gauge, Phylum Bioproducts, Spartan Mosquito Eradicators, Dr. Jim's, Nasala Kombucha, which that's a Midwestern kombucha company. MI Greenhouse LLC, they're out of Michigan and also Missouri. They do the Simply Solar Greenhouse, a one-unit unit that you can grow in. Green Gobbler, they produce the 20% horticultural grade vinegar weed killer. Water Hoop, Seed Savers Exchange, Neptune Harvest, Happy Leaf LED, Drip Works USA, We Grow Indoors, Harvest More, Blue Mel's Landscape and Garden Center. They're the official garden center. They're out of the Milwaukee area. And then also Blue Ribbon Organics. They're out of the Milwaukee area as well. And then I'm still negotiating with 60 other companies. And hopefully I can pick up another 2 or 3.
Well, Joey, I apologize. If I should have gotten that list from you, and I could have put it up on the screen. My fault, folks.
You're good. You're good.
So, matter of fact, well, if you email me that, I will put it in the description of this video.
Okay.
I will put it in the description of this video after this is done.
Yeah,
By
Half
all
Acre
means.
Dreams, there are lots of sponsors. You're right.
Yeah.
Sounds like some pretty good ones.
24 this year. In season 1, we had 18. Season 2, we had 28. Season 3, we had 35. So we've done way more with fewer sponsors than we did last year with more sponsors. It's just the way it worked out and how we advertise in the markets and everything. So it's a business, and it's, bottom dollar. It comes down to the bottom dollar.
Sure.
What made you get into this?
Well, so in 2010, we started with a Facebook page, and it was, I think we just called Wisconsin Gardeners or something. And now you can look us up where it's the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. And so we wanted to provide information to gardeners in the Midwest. So we started just by providing information, pictures, articles, links, whatever. And then in the end of 2010, I had won a video camera at the place I worked at the time. Do we have a camera?
No, it's a Kodak PlayTouch.
It's like this little
Tiny cell
almost
phone
looks
looking. Yeah.
It looks like a cell phone. And Joey's like, what are we going to do with that? And I was like, let's make some gardening videos.
Now we don't have a videography degree or anything. I grew up on a farm. I took some pictures, and Holly has a degree in graphic design. So neither one of us knew what we were doing besides point and talk. That's pretty much what we got into.
Yeah. So then we kind of just, looked at videos and
Stumbled through it.
So if you ever want a good, interesting look, you can.
I had a lot more hair back then.
Yeah. You can go. I think I had a lot less hair.
You
can go back and take a look at the videos throughout time. But yeah, so that's how we did that. We did that for many years, and then we had our own podcast for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2015.
Well, step back a moment. About 2014, 2015. Earlier than that, about 2012. 12. I was promoting the garden videos on Facebook, and I messaged this guy, and I said, "Hey, have you seen our videos?" And this guy messaged back and said, "Yeah, I have. There's some things you need to stop doing, and there's some things you need to start doing." And this guy was Joe Lampo, host of PBS's Growing a Greener World. I didn't know who he was. And he said, "Well, here's my number. Call me on Saturday. I'm on my way down to Atlanta because I'm going to have a meeting, and I can talk to you in the car." So Holly and I pull this guy up, and he's been on HGTV. He's got this PBS program. Didn't know who the guy was.
He actually, I think probably about a year before that or something, he had said he really liked what we were doing on like a post, and then that's when he reached out to you.
Yeah. So then I talked to him for 2 hours, and he gives me tips about lighting and sound and all this stuff, and we've been friends ever since. And so then about 2015, we said, you've got a TV show, garden TV show. We would like to have a gardening TV show too. When he said, well, that's great. Everybody wants to be on TV, but that's not where you need to be. You need to be on radio. No matter how tiny the station is, find somebody local and get on radio. So in 2015 to 20...
Actually, in 2014, we had reached out to a station, and then that was kind of
That was a mess in
yeah,
itself.
it was a mess in itself. But then in 2015, we found a station that was going to let us use the whole hour as we wanted to, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to be able to have our own
Control.
content. Yeah, have control. So in 2015, we tried to raise sponsorship for 2016.
Made it 1%. 1%.
1%. So then we reached out to another gardening radio show host friend, and he gave us some great tips as to what to do for sponsorship,
What not to do.
what not to do. And then in 2016, we raised enough sponsorship to be on the radio in 2017.
And the thing that helped us, and you look at things in the past and go, well, that really worked out well. I got laid off from a job that I had for 7 years. I got a good pension, or not a good, yeah, I got a good pension paid off.
Not like a pension, it was a severance.
Severance, got a good severance on of it. So then that gave me the opportunity because I had to sign some papers and they were wanting to keep us quiet about some things. So I got paid out for quite a bit of the year without even walking in the door. So I said to Holly, let's try this radio thing again. And she said, no, we're not going to do it again because
you were not very pleasant.
It was terrible. But what we found out was it works a lot better when you are at home during the day because company A sends you an email and says, hey, I want to talk. You can't say, oh, I'm at work right now. I only have 3:15 to 3:30 to give you a call. And at that point, if they're on the East Coast, they might already be gone for the, it's very difficult to talk to these people when you're trying to do another job. So then I became full-time marketing director to find the sponsors in which we needed, and we did very well the first year, better the second year. Last year we did really good. This year we've done phenomenal, and we've got the reputation behind it and the proof that, and the testimonials of companies that have been with us for multiple years and seen the return on investment and want to come back and ask to be first to be notified of the next coming year sponsor list and how much the pricing is. So it's very encouraging when a company says, hey, I like what you've done. Let me be the first one you get a hold of because I'm wanting to come back next year.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad that's worked out.
It does help whenever you reach out to these other garden hosts and say, hey, here's what we're doing. And they say, well, this is what you're doing wrong. And they give you a list of things that you've done wrong because we don't know the rules and we still don't know the rules. And sometimes in life, it's better not to know the rules so you don't know what you're breaking to make it happen. Because just to give a reference to those for everybody listening, this is out of the 24 sponsors that we have currently, I've reached out to 1,392 companies, local to each market as well as national brands. So that's like a 1.7% return from reach out to commitment to contract signed to check in hand to pay for the airtime. Very, very small.
But do you have any reference to that? I mean, is that a normal percentage, do you think?
I don't think we really know.
I know that the old saying used to be for every 100 people that hears or for every 100 people that you reach out to, 10 people will be interested. One person will get back to you with a good chance that they may commit to something. So about a 1% is kind of in that ballpark. Yeah. We did have a 74% return on our response to our emails. Joe Lampo, we met with him when he was in Madison for the expo. He was very impressed with the high number of responses that we had gotten out of that 1,392 companies. He said at that time it was 72%. He said that's phenomenal to get that type of, at least a response saying, hey, we're not interested, or we forwarded to somebody, or send us pricing, or quit emailing me, something. So that was, I feel was pretty high and very good. But
it's not, I don't know, you have to be a certain type of person to want to do this.
Well, if I don't do this, Holly says I have to get a real job. So
True story.
Well, obviously, being on a radio show, few people that have radio shows have a personal a profile that's recognized by people because they're just hearing a voice, they're not seeing a picture.
correct.
So, has this ever happened where somebody has come up to you and say, "Oh, you're the radio people that we know," in a store or something?
Yes.
Because they know the voice.
Right. Well, that and because we've had so many videos, I've been places a couple times, and I've had people say, I watch your videos.
Well, they don't just they stare at you for a while.
They do stay for a while. And then we've been on the news a few times, more than a few times, and I've had people come up to me, especially in places I've worked and things like that, and say, I think I saw you on the news. We had even a short kind of gardening segment for a while too. So yeah, we've been recognized.
Great.
It's
great.
Yeah, it's kind of random.
When they come up and say, "Hey, aren't you the gardening people?" That's a lot better than them coming up to you. Do I know you? Have I seen you? That's a little less creepy that way. Yeah, a little less creepy. But yeah, we do get recognized, and there are some
Wonderful.
people that are on the radio that does what we do, and you can't find a picture of them anywhere. You don't know who they are, and they're very secretive about where they're broadcasting out of, which I think is a shame because. They say, "Oh, I don't need to know where you don't need to know where I'm at. I need to know where you're at in order to help you grow your garden better." I think that's a slap in the face. You got to be transparent with all this.
Well,
stuff.
have you ever gone and appeared at like home and garden shows and stuff
Yes.
like that?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So, yeah, we go to the one in Milwaukee, and we talk there, and then that's it's more like home than garden, but it's, it's fine. And then the one in Madison is a huge garden expo, and we talk there every year too.
All right. Have you considered, and obviously I don't know because we haven't really engaged in this conversation here, but one of the things that, as you well know, we're kind of revolve around the homesteading genre, homesteading, prepping, so on and so forth. We have various conventions, meetups, things like that is just kind of kicking off. We have a whole list of places that we're going to go to, starting off in Mississippi here in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in Mississippi in 3 weeks, and then 2 or 3 weeks after that, we'll be in Arkansas. And so anyway, have you ever considered...
Actually, yeah. 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, have you ever considered going to any of these type of things, like a Mother Earth News Fair or something along that line, or is that something that's never even crossed your mind?
We went to a preparedness expo or something, and that was interesting. It wasn't well executed, but it was their first one. I think it was their only one. So we did go to that, and we spoke there. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we're not opposed to it.
Yeah, we're not opposed to it.
Homesteaders grow food just like us city folks do, and we all. And the thing about when we go to a talk and we go to multiple libraries in the Southeast Wisconsin, it's not, hey, we're up here, we're telling you how to do stuff. It's, hey, this is how we've done it. And then somebody will say, hey, can I suggest? Yeah, suggest something, and they'll share how they've done it.
Sure.
And somebody, it's a not just a I'm teaching you. It's, hey,
Yeah.
we're all learning together.
It's a give and take.
Yes.
Legacy Home and Garden it says, do you ever go out of your state to speak?
We can. We would. It depends on where, how far, all that good stuff. But did we ever talk in Illinois?
No, we never did talking.
No, but yeah, we're not opposed to it. No.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely a give and take.
But we do aside from the expos, we do a lot of library talks and things like that, and garden clubs. Some businesses have had us, so for like their wellness programs. The company I work for, we did a talk there for the wellness program. So just different venues.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I think Smudge is scratching at the back door here, so we're going to let him out to do your first trivia question. If you guys, I apologize, you will not be able to hear him, but he is in his full glory as far as laying out the rules for the trivia time here. And I guess for you to hear that, you'll just have to watch the replay. So, but I'll let you know what's going on here. So we're gonna cut over to Smudge now and get a trivia question out of the way.
Well, hi, folks. It's trivia time again. And we have to have some rules for this, so they are as follows. Number 1, you can only win once every 4 weeks. Number 2, You must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as it appears embedded on the screen here. Your chat window may have a different order. And number 3, you have to send an email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Send us your mailing address so we know where to send your winnings. Good luck.
Okay, and just to reiterate what Smudge said there, the official order chat is embedded on your screen in front of you. That's where that's where we will pick the winner from, and that way everybody can see. Because if you look at your screen, it's going to be in a different order. That's just the way the internet works between lagging and the speed of the bits flying through the air as the internet comes into your home. So. Anyway, the first question, for question number 1, if you're all ready, and we haven't talked about this at all yet tonight, so that'll probably be the next thing we'll discuss. Holly has won several ribbons at the state fair for what?
You can't answer, Holly. You know the answer.
I think I know the answer.
I've wanted to do it here at our county fair, but every time I think about it and remember, it's already past time to get them in.
Yes, you have to sign up quite a bit ahead of time
Yeah.
for a lot of.
Yeah. Real life with Michelle.
Yep, real life
Yep,
with
yep.
Michelle.
Canning. Very good.
Canning.
Very good. Yep.
Absolutely.
And they're not Aunt Bee's kerosene pickles either. Somebody will get that.
Real life with Michelle. Email us at twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Put trivia winner in the subject line. Give us your name and address. And
What does she win?
seeds.
Ah, yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
We're in a gardening show. We're gonna
And,
deliver seeds tonight.
As long as you're in the U.S. or I think Canada. If you're anywhere else overseas, I can't send the seeds. I've tried. They opened the envelope and took them out.
Okay, and we have opened up the phone line here as well. The numbers are scrolling across the top of the screen, and you dial one of those numbers. You have to put in the 9-digit number, which puts you into the waiting room for our show here tonight. And and we'll let you ask them questions directly, or if you just have a comment or curious about something they do.
Ben was hoping for cheesecake.
Hopefully for cheesecake.
Another month, Ben. Another month.
Another month. Okay.
Just for you, I'll bring you one.
All right. So let's talk
Oh, and
about.
I have to bring Nathan one because he's in here. I can't say I bring one for Ben, not Nathan.
No, you can't do that.
That's true.
So Holly, tell us about your award-winning canning.
Well, it's been a few years, but I won best of show, and then it was like I think first time entry, something like that, and then I won 2 first place, and then a second place. That was 1 year, and the next year I won like a first, second, third.
Wow.
But it was for peach salsa, strawberry pie filling.
Orange chocolate, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think the orange chocolate jelly. Blueberry maple jelly, and then another brown sugar peach jam. I can't remember the last one, but yeah. So those are all on our website. We have a lot of videos on canning too, and that's at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.
What? Tell them how you got into canning.
Okay, so I grew up in the city, and we never canned. Canning was like, that's what country folk do. And so in 2010, we had...
Holly, you do know we have a lot of country folk in here tonight.
Oh, I know. I hope you get my humor. Sorry. So in 2010, we had a prolific garden. We had a really hot, wet year, and we had all these cucumbers and tomatoes and a lot of things. And Joey is like, we're going to can these. And I'm like, that's cool. You have a good time with that. And he's like, no, we're going to do this together. I'm like, all right.
I grew up with canning. That's
he
all I
grew up on
knew.
a farm, yeah. So he watched his mom and his grandma can. So the thing I like about canning is I like science, and canning is a science, just like I like baking. Baking is a science. So it makes sense to me. So I got into it, and then I made some jam, and it kind of failed. It didn't stick very well. It was more like syrup, or it didn't gel up very well.
Oh, I have quite a few jars of syrup in my pantry.
That's okay. It's still good.
Yeah.
So I went to the rec department, the local recreation department, and took a canning class and learned how to have my jam set up. And then I took a few more classes and learned more, and then it just kind of took off from there. And the canning instructor, she's a master canner in the state of Wisconsin. Her name is Christina Ward. She's really awesome. She's actually written some books, not canning related, but they are kind of food genre related. She taught me a lot of things, and then she was like, you can enter these competitions, and that's when I looked into it. And I wouldn't mind doing a county one, because I heard that's like a whole different thing than the state fair. It's kind of more fun and local and whatever. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
So in other words, what you're saying is the stuff you grow, you actually preserve it to make it last for the whole year if possible.
Yeah, if possible. And well, I guess we have a pear tree. It's dying. It's not producing anything, but we had one, so we had that too. So we had a lot of pear items. And yeah, so pear, if you don't know what to do with pears, you can basically do with pears what you do with apples, essentially. So we did like pear pie filling, pear jam, pear juice.
Are you
canned pears?
Are you into canning to the point where you maybe visit some orchards and get apples or peaches or other things like that and can those? And
we've gone strawberry picking, and did we go pick anything else?
No, we had tree ripe peaches.
Oh yeah. So there's this company in the Midwest that you can go pick up peaches that they bring up from Georgia off the truck. It's called Tree Ripe, and they're the most delicious peaches. They do citrus in the winter too, but I think it's past their citrus time. But they have peaches that you can get, I think, starting like June, and I think they do like blueberries. I think if you go to tree-ripe.com, you can see. But it's like Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, maybe Iowa. Yeah.
But we can quite a bit, and we would like that tree to survive, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's past its life cycle, so we're going to have to figure out something else on that. On a related note, when people we talk about gardening and planting, everybody plants zucchini, and everybody plants typically too much zucchini, and then everybody who gets zucchini hates people who give them the zucchini. So what you do with zucchini, make an apple pie, leave the apples out, put the zucchini in, and it tastes just like apple pie.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Joey, this is probably something you can answer real quick here. Somebody's asking, Legacy Home and Garden is asking, what states does your show air?
Our show airs in 20 states across the country. Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, a chunk of North Dakota, California, most of Utah, most of western Missouri, Kansas, Iowa. The best way to see the geographical map and the broadcast range is go to our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and click on the first tab, the About Us tab. It'll drop down, and it will show the broadcast range in detail of everywhere that we are at.
If we're not on your station, your local station, we have the replay, and then we have on the apps, what's it called? Simple
Radio app.
Intuitive. Yeah. Yep. So you can listen to us online as well, or the podcast replay as well. So you don't have to, if it's not in your backyard, then we can be online.
And the title of your podcast is, if somebody wanted to listen to some of your podcasts, how do they find it?
Just search on your favorite podcast platform, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Podcast. Yeah, you're in that. Or you can go to our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and there's season 1, 2, and 3 tabs at the top of the page that has all of our shows in chronological order in their entirety from all previous seasons. There's 105 there, so that'll keep you busy for a while.
So somebody could binge watch or binge listen for a while.
Yes. And we see, even though we do an in-studio video, we see a tremendous amount more downloads because you can mow the grass and listen to the show. You can drive and listen to the show. You can't really watch the show while you do those activities. Yeah. But yeah, we focus on the in-studio video as well, just like you're watching a TV show. But we also, focus as much attention to the podcast replays as possible.
Wow. Well, one of the reasons that I asked you about going into different markets and things like that, I listened closely to your list of advertisers that you have, and I was surprised that some other ones that we recognize readily from the homesteading genre, I didn't hear from you. And that would be things like Haas Tools or Baker Creek Seeds or
Haas Tools was a sponsor for season 2. And they chose not to come back.
Okay. All right. Well, and obviously with a company like that, they have X amount of dollars to spend on advertising. And they have to, and they move around into different areas.
Yeah, they want to try, different markets. We've had some people who had sponsored and has said, "Hey, this is our first time doing it." Or each year I do a different type of media sponsorship. I'll do print, I'll do digital, I'll do a radio. So they definitely see and touch all markets to see which works best for them. So. And some of these sponsors, they're exclusive, like Seed Savers Exchange. They had an exclusivity clause in their contract with us because they don't want to have other seed companies come in and have 2 or 3 seed companies on one show.
And there's certain companies that don't advertise, like they don't put money into radio advertising, even if it was a phenomenal deal, because they're well known. They stay specifically with their catalogs or what have you. So yes, we would love to have.
And I still try to negotiate with them because
I mean, it's not like when they're like, we don't
no
do that.
Doesn't always mean no until they say no like 12 times, and then I'll move on to somebody else, because there's been times where they have said no and then I threw a number at them because they haven't asked for pricing, and they're like, okay, we'll do that, because everybody thinks radio is tens of thousands of dollars a sponsor, and we do this ourselves to keep the price down, to have smaller companies be able to afford the airtime that we have in the markets that we're in.
And Joey, just so you know, one of our moderators here is putting a link into the broadcast range of your radio show. So
thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
So they've got you covered here.
It's nice to have somebody else do the work, because usually I'm the one that on my end doing all these little things. It's nice to have somebody else click the buttons and push the knobs.
Our moderators are great.
And just, because we are not necessarily on a quote-unquote homestead, we do practice, I guess, more or less like urban homesteading or suburban homesteading, whatever you want to call it. We cook from scratch, and at times I do bake things, and Joey's bake things too. And we do try to practice some self-sufficiency. Like, we will try to be more self-sufficient. We definitely don't, more or less, like from an environmental standpoint, reusing, reducing our waste, thinking things like that, composting. We cut each other's hair. So we may not have a homestead per se, but I guess we do in a way.
So let's get into what seems to be kind of a hot topic among a number of people, and that's GMO, non-GMO. Give me your thoughts on all that.
Okay. Grew up on a farm, as I said earlier, so that's what we grew, and that's...
He's talking about like corn,
soybeans, yeah.
Yeah.
The genetically modified from Pioneer, DuPont, Monsanto, those type of companies. And in my mind, and I have no scientific degree in this, the genetically modified crop is not the portion that eating that is not bad. What's bad is it's been genetically modified to be able to withstand the harsh chemicals that are sprayed on the field to kill everything except for that crop. That crop absorbs those chemicals, doesn't hurt it, but it becomes part of the molecular structure of that corn or that soybean, and then we are ingesting that. People can grow genetically modified crops certified organic, but it's the chemicals that are being sprayed on that crop, not the crop that has been DNA altered. That's my mindset on the deal.
And also, you kind of have to think, okay, so this was developed in the 50s, right? Right? Is that kind of when?
Well, 90s is really when it kicked
Well,
off, but
yeah.
yeah.
But these farmers, this is all they know at this point now. The bigger, larger crop
The
farmers.
big ag.
The big ag, yeah. So can you blame the farmer? I don't think you can. I think it's something that is...
You do this and you use this product, otherwise there's nothing else out there for what you need.
Yeah.
So you have to buy our seed or you don't farm.
Same thing in Hawaii where they grow the genetically modified pineapples. That's all those farmers know, and it's families, and that's what they know how to do is to grow those pineapples and work the land. And so it's not just grain crops.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other genetically modified crops everywhere.
Well, and Joy brought up the next word that I wanted to talk about, and that's organic. Which is
Now, for us, we grow organically in our garden, and we try to kind of live with what we have in regards to coexisting with the different pests and things like that. So if we can find a way to get rid of aphids or something that is not going to be a chemical, then we're going to do that, and that's what we strive for. But we understand when there's a time and a place for not using an organic method.
And what the organic means, I mean, organic is you're still using chemicals, but they're a different compound of chemicals.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to be mindful of how you use it. Roundup is a tremendous product, does exactly what it's supposed to do, but it's the operator that has to be responsible about how it's used, when it's used, where it's used, and why it is used on their property or elsewhere. County workers spraying in the ditches, whatever the case is. You have to be responsible for what you use it for.
And of course, obviously, be aware of the consequences in using it incorrectly.
Right, of course. You
So-
want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
But
More or
It's
less.
kind of like hunting. You always should know you always need to know what's beyond what you're shooting at. Same thing with the chemicals. You always should know what the end result will be before the application is applied.
so, what's your thoughts of going into the grocery store and seeing the organic labels sitting right beside the non-organic, I guess, irregardless what the fruit or vegetable is in your mind, is it worth the extra money? Is it worth the extra whatever for the organic versus the non-organic?
I think it depends. So there's something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And this is a list of fruits and vegetables that even if they're growing non-organically, they're going to have the Dirty Dozen is going to have a higher susceptibility for you to ingest those pesticides. And a lot of times it's something that's like a soft body fruit or vegetable. So like strawberries, spinach, I think those are the top two. You can just Google Dirty Dozen Clean 15. Clean 15 is the opposite of that, where these are fruits and vegetables that are not going to be as susceptible to absorbing those pesticides. So that's something you can think about. Organic, is it better for you? No. In a sense, like, I guess your body, well, actually it is better for you in a sense of your body absorbing those nutrients. There was a scientific study done, I think in Switzerland, where it is proven that your body does absorb nutrients higher and a higher amount of nutrients when it's an organic fruit or vegetable versus something that has been sprayed with pesticides. And a lot of times those pesticides are still found once your body has gone through the digestive process and then in your human waste.
And with anything in life, you have the organic strawberries next to the inorganic strawberries. Money talks, and when you can buy for a common ordinary grocery store grocer, walk in a mom or a dad, $2.99 versus $5.99. Most of the time, that $2.99 is going to move much quicker than the $5.99, and it's just like anything else. Where you're going to go to the gas station that's 3 cents cheaper. When you go to the voting booth, you're going to vote for the person that's better, that's done more to your wallet than the other person could. It all revolves around money, right, wrong, or indifferent. But that's the way the society works that we are in.
Sure.
And also, yeah, you have to look at your own budget and what you want to purchase. And even something like our little niece, she can eat organic strawberries, but she can't eat conventional strawberries because her face kind of breaks out. So, just things like that. Like, do I want my face to break out? More or less. So, yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that. If you have a hard time purchasing organic foods because of the amounts of different cost, I would say that you definitely should check out then the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, because that could help you make your decision. Like, maybe I'll invest money into these products that may be higher in pesticides versus something that's going to be lower.
Okay, so let's get back to your show.
Okay.
Do you promote the use of chemicals do you promote the use of chemical fertilizer or natural fertilizers? Chemical, in other words, I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of curious. How do you recommend people, at least maybe when they're getting started?
So
go ahead, just run with it.
So for us, we teach people and we encourage people to build your soil. So if you purchase or use a fertilizer or a plant food, what have you, that is non-organic, so whether it be like something like a Miracle product, let's say that, you are literally feeding the plant. It's a plant food. So you're just letting the plant, you plant the plant in the soil, you're feeding the plant, it becomes reliant on that plant food. If you feed your soil, so say you add leaves, coffee grounds, compost, what have you to your soil.
As nature
does, and you feed your soil, you might cover it with a certain type of mulch. So you feed your soil. Your plants then learn how to live off of that soil that you feed, as opposed to them living off of a plant.
We mimic and we teach to mimic as the forest floor. What happens in the forest? The leaves fall, they break down, they feed the soil, they feed the trees, they feed the vegetation feed, that type of thing. That's what we practice, and that's what we encourage people to do such. Now, there are many people who listen to our show, and we've done surveys and found data that they're either all chemical or 50-50 chemical and organic, which we welcome everybody. We have the platform, so we're going to teach and encourage and advise to use the organic means as much as possible. Just like we talked about with the chemicals, there are time and place, if need be, to have chemicals to be used to control a certain uncontrollable situation. So that's where we stand on the organic means and what we tell people on our show.
Okay, I have one more quick question before we have Smudge come out and do another trivia here. I'm sure that you're well aware of all the different types of gardenings that people talk about. Square foot gardening, aquaponics, Garden of Eden type things. Do you have a favorite, or do you promote one over another, or is there something you just stay away from, or?
So,
I'll answer this one. We would encourage for new gardeners. We would encourage, and we look forward to this year, the raised bed. Upfront cost, immediate garden. The most economical garden is to dig up the soil in the backyard. However, you do need to know what was there, what the nutrient value is. There's a lot of work to loosen the soil up, to remove the roots, all of that. So For anybody, and there's a lot of homesteaders that have raised beds on their property in addition to the traditional ground. The raised beds would be the ideal and recommendation for us. Secondary would be straw bale gardening to come in and assist with that raised beds to add more space.
Yeah, if you haven't straw bale garden, definitely we would encourage you to look into that, and you want to follow the method. There's a lot of things online like, oh, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. But if you follow the method that's in the book, whether you purchase the book or get it from a friend, family, library, what have you, and you follow the method, it is a phenomenal way to grow. It's virtually weed-free, and it's just a lovely way to grow food. What Joyce, adding to what Joyce said, I would just encourage anybody to grow however they feel is comfortable to them and however they feel that they can, and whatever is within their budget, whether it be raised beds or containers, or maybe you don't have a lot of sunlight, so you might have to grow in 5-gallon buckets and move them around. Whether maybe this year you got a lot going on and you just want to grow some container tomatoes, whatever, I would just continue to try and keep trying and keep learning, because I don't think there's a right way to garden. It's just whatever fits into your lifestyle.
Yeah, try several different things at one time. So if one fails, you have a backup. So if you only had 5 or 10 tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets and you forgot to water, or there was a storm or something and then you lost all of them, if you have other means and backups.
There's even the rain gutter
grow system. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options out there, and it's not something you're going to perfect in 1 year or one season. We still kill plants.
Mm-hmm.
We grow plants not to kill them necessarily, but we start seeds to
more than what we
need,
could possibly use, because
so
we know
if
there's a certain amount of
something
casualties that will occur just in natural progression of the seeds. Yeah.
Okay, and I bet you also have these very warm moments where you get people saying, I've never grown anything. I listened to your show. I've gone out and started a garden.
Oh, of course, yeah, we definitely have that. I've had coworkers come up to me and say, I just like your show. Like I like all the information you provided. I don't grow a garden, and then usually I will encourage them to try to grow something. But you can even sprout seeds in a mason jar in your kitchen. So there's a lot of options, no matter what kind of space or time or light that you have.
Yeah, there's people that listen to our show that has never grown and never will, but they listen to it because it's entertaining and educational and something to listen to.
Apparently we're entertaining.
The advantage to talk radio in our program, if you're tuning in to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show, you're typically not going to have it on in the background for noise. Most people will tune music on for that. You're tuning in to be entertained or educated, or listen to one of the guests that we have on, or something of that matter. You're not just turning it on just because you want to hear the radio play.
Okay. Well, speaking of guests, Smudge is wanting out again, so let me bring him out here. We'll get your other trivia question played out here, and so just hang with us for a moment.
Well, hi, folks. It's trivia time again. And we have to have some rules for this, so they are as follows. Number 1, you can only win once every 4 weeks. Number 2, you must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as it appears embedded on the screen here. Your chat window may have a different order. And number 3, you have to send an email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Send us your mailing address so we know where to send your winnings. Good luck.
Okay, and just to reiterate again here, especially for anybody that might be new here this evening, we'll put the question up on the screen, and the first person that answers the question correctly in the chat as it appears on the screen in front of you, not your chat, but the one that's embedded in the screen in front of you, that's the official order chat, and you will be asked to send us via email your mailing address, and in return you'll get a very nice little gift here that'll get you going for something or other in the gardening season, I guess, this year. So Question number 2 is, what is our favorite type of mulch?
While we're waiting on the answer, there was a question in the chat. Holly, what was that about putting?
I don't know who said it, but it was it said, is it safe to put plastic under your raised bed?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
We would not recommend plastic. You would have to give us more information on why you are wanting to put plastic. Is it for the weed prevention? And if that's the case, what you would want to do is put several layers of cardboard underneath your raised bed, then put the compost on. By the time the cardboard breaks down, you're going to kill the grass that's beneath that cardboard. If you put the plastic underneath your raised bed, you're going to restrict the earthworms from coming up and incorporating themselves in that raised bed in which you are growing in. And the microbial life can't transition from native to the raised bed.
Okay, and Simply Jan Homestead
There you go.
got that right with leaves and.
Yep.
All right. Green Gables, no, not recycled tires.
Saw
No.
that.
I like how Big Dreams Homestead says, I'm grasping at straws here. kind of funny.
All right. So
Now, do they win a new car? Is that what they win? The second guy? Well, I'm just the second winner.
Matchbox size.
Matchbox, yeah.
Matchbox
You
size.
got to read the fine print on
That's
that.
right.
okay,
That's
and
right.
let me remind everybody the phone line is open. So I want to make sure it works. So somebody needs to call in.
Lines are open.
Lines are open.
Lines are
Call.
open. They
I
are.
don't know what the number is, but lines are open.
Yeah. So is there something you're looking to? Where do you see the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Show in the next 5 years?
Well, then for 2021 season 5, we are bouncing the ideal around of converting the name from the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener to Lawn and Garden or Lawn Garden and something of that nature.
You are?
Yeah, because
I'm just kidding.
okay. Play along here, Holly. Lawn and garden talk show, something of that nature. Simply because with this marketing deal, I'm getting a lot of restrictions from non-vegetable companies saying, well, why would we advertise, lawnmower companies, that type of ornamental companies, why would we advertise on a program that's about vegetable gardening? We only talk about vegetables about 65% of the time. We talk about tree care and lawn care, landscape. Holly talks about preserving. So we get a lot of restrictions. In addition to having that name with these stations in other markets, we feel that would also increase the listenership because they don't see the word Wisconsin. Now, M.I. Gardner, he's a major YouTuber. Many of people are familiar with him. He's got people from all over the world, even though it says M.I. Gardner. So
Sure. Yeah.
Where we would like to see, and I don't know when we've talked to people about this, we would like to have stations come to us and say, hey, we want to carry your show. How much does it cost for us to carry your show? Like some of these larger radio talk shows, sports talk shows, that type of thing. But I don't know if that is something in which we are in the right genre for. But we would like to have that opportunity to where we can set our price and not have to pay them to have our show.
Sure.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So do you ever venture off into the I'm going to use the term, and this might be incorrect, landscape gardening, where people can actually incorporate gardens into their landscape for a beautification purpose as well as a food purpose. I mean, do you ever
Edible landscaping.
Foodscaping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
foodscaping. Yeah, we have done some. One plant, if you can get a hold of it, and a lot of homesteaders and preppers like this, is the Jerusalem artichoke or the sunchoke. And that is a perennial vegetable. It's a perennial root crop. and you wouldn't know it's growing unless you knew what you were looking for because it grows under the soil. There's my hand. Under the soil, and but it puts on a beautiful flower because it's related to the sunflower and the dahlia family. The flowers can get 10 feet tall, so if you did that, you might want to put it towards like the back of your landscape, what have you. But that is one that is definitely popular and something that's kind of a sneaky thing to grow.
And with homeowners associations, you can't have any edibles in the front yard, yet you can have like a fruit tree or you
or
can
like a nut tree.
Incorporate
or like kale.
Yeah.
Kale is like can be very ornamental.
leeks.
Even leeks. Like there's our neighbor is a landscaper / flower gardener, and he grows a lot of ornamental kales. And then there's an onion type plant called an allium. So if you grow an onion, people might not know that that's an onion that's growing there. So you can sneak in a lot of stuff, but also just for ornamental. We've interviewed people who have written books and such about edible landscaping, foodscaping, things like that to kind of, especially like Joey mentioned, if you're in a homeowners association, you might not have as many options as somebody who's just out on a few acres.
Oh, yeah. Well, and of course, I'm guessing that this is another opportunity with your show to, I'm going to say, kind of poke the bear at some of these HMOs.
HMOs?
Yeah.
HOA?
HOAs.
He's
poke the bear for both of them, I guess.
Both of them.
He thought he said the right initials.
I did.
If we lived in an HOA, we probably would poke the bear, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, where you can grow these different things that they don't even realize it's food.
Right.
Your
There's a
son's
lot
in
of
an HOA.
there's a lot of
son, Michael,
uneducated individuals who are in charge of a lot of things that you can get away with because you know the tricks and you know how to hide things to make them look as if they are not what they actually are.
Even herbs and things you can grow because they're just green and pretty. So you could do you have a lot of options.
Right.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if somebody can genetically modify a chicken so that it barks and lays eggs and barks.
Well,
and
Carrie has rabbits that lays eggs. She can't find the chocolate, but she's finding eggs.
I'd look for the golden one.
Yeah, exactly.
So that brings something else to mind. Do you I'm going to lean more toward Joey, but it certainly could be Holly. Do you partake in any hunting or other natural foraging or any other ways to gather food from the wild, so to speak?
No, not in where we're at now. Back home where I was from, we would hunt anything and everything. But since I've moved up here, I've not partaken in that. Also, the morel mushroom hunting, that's a big thing that we've never participated in as well. The story was back home that these people would go in these woods and find bucketfuls, and they would never tell anybody, even on their deathbed, where this stuff was, because it was a secret to everybody. So, no, we've not partaken in any of those foraging or scavenging activities in addition to the gardening and the canning stuff that we grow.
We have a lot of garlic mustard that grows wild here, and I think, did we harvest it ever?
We did a video on it. We never made any dishes with that particular item.
So that's an option for us. And then, what's it called? Goosefoot?
Goosefoot or
Yeah.
lamb's quarter. We have a lot of that
Yeah.
grows naturally in our garden as well.
So, and, not that this counts for anything, but we've interviewed people who are into foraging and write books on foraging and blogs and what have you. So it's not something that's completely foreign to us. And obviously the hunting to Joey, he's done a lot of hunting in his...
And the mushrooms is very fascinating, but you have to know or be with somebody who understands
Exactly.
what mushrooms are good and what's bad.
Yeah.
We interviewed one person, and she said, you can eat any mushroom one time.
At least once.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very unique genre. If you can get, and you may have people in the audience right now who understands and knows what these things are, and it's just really neat. That's something that nature has provided, and we've lost a lot of that knowledge because of the Native Americans that we told them to get off the land and they didn't know anything, and we've lost a lot of that knowledge, and we've lost that knowledge from our grandparents and great grandparents who knew that stuff, and we've lost it.
Yeah, sure have.
So let's talk about one other thing that is very, very important to the gardening, and that's bees.
Yeah, bees are very vital to our ecosystem as humans in general. We need bees to grow a variety of foods, and we ourselves do grow flowers and such to attract the bees. But also, you can do things like take a shallow dish, put some little pebbles or rocks in there, and then put some water over the top of that, and that's like a nice little bee hydration station. So the bees have a place to get some water, and that's another reason why we don't use certain pesticides such as neonicotinoids, which is things like Roundup, and because those are harmful to the bees as well. It messes with their what does it mess with? Neurological system, I think. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, and we see this on TV in about 2 weeks, or maybe it's even on, because we don't watch regular TV, we watch online stuff. They're pushing the dandelion killing stuff, and what's the first thing that comes out in the spring is dandelions. What's the first thing everybody wants to kill? Dandelions. And what happens when you kill dandelions? The bees get on those and take that chemical back to the hive, and bad things happen. So we encourage people to leave those dandelions alone, because if you kill all the dandelions in your yard, those dandelion seeds that the neighbor has, or down the street, or in the field next to you, they're not going to avoid your yard because you've killed the ones that are already there. They're going to spread everywhere. So it really serves no purpose besides short-term self-gratification that, I killed all the dandelions. Oh, and they're all back now. So,
well, and the dandelions make an absolutely wonderful jam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uses. People make
jam, jelly.
As you
can
mentioned,
use the
jelly.
Roots. You can use the roots and the leaves for salad.
And there's some homesteaders that will take dandelions in the spring and dehydrate them and save them, and then in the winter give them to rabbits as treats to have them have a snack. So that's another thing. But there's a lot of benefits to the plant, not only the leaves but also the roots. And there are some seed companies now who are selling certified organic dandelion seeds that you can grow.
Yes, I've seen that.
That would tick off your neighbors.
Oh yeah. What are you growing? Dandelions.
Yeah. But I think this also brings us back to, you need to know what you are adding or spraying in your yard.
The effect that you're having on your ecosystem.
Yeah, on your ecosystem. So bees, one, but also just your grass, right? So if you take your grass and say you've sprayed some sort of like enhancement or whatever, weed and feed, what have you, or you pay somebody to spray that, one of those companies with the big trucks, and then you put that grass into your soil or into your compost, there's a very persistent herbicide in that, and then that does not break down whether you hot compost, cold compost for 3 years. That persistent herbicide still exists, and then if you grow your plants in that, then your plants will not thrive.
Kill the broadleaf plants, your beans, your potatoes, your tomatoes, your peppers. We had a talk on tomatoes a couple of years ago at one of these local libraries, and this guy and his wife came and said, "Hey, I've been able to grow tomatoes for years, but the last 4 years haven't been able to make them grow at all, so I'm coming here to learn what I'm doing wrong." Well, he makes about 1,500 cubic feet of soil a year, all from lawn clippings that he has sprayed his lawn yearly with weed and feed, and he's poisoned the compost pile and poisoned the garden. So the best thing that he could do now is just build raised beds. There are ways to mitigate it through years of microbial life and all this other stuff, but that's what happens when you use that weed and feed and then try to incorporate into compost and feed your plants. You kill your plants.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what was it, 2 years ago? I had Celia and Kaylee take Kroger bags out front. I said, go pick the dandelions. They thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
What do we have to do that for? I
Yeah.
said, we're going to make jelly. And they just stared at me.
But they had no problem eating the jelly.
Oh, yeah, they took that home.
Yeah. The
I
jelly.
lost those jars of jelly.
how many, like, what quantity of flowers is needed for a batch of dandelion jelly?
I had
Probably a couple Kroger bags.
a couple Kroger bags, but I did the jelly, and I dehydrated the stems and some of the leaves. The leaves, if you get them soon enough, they're good in salads. They're not bitter, but you have
Right.
to get them young. But yeah, I just let them get and
Well, and
then their fingers turn yellow because they're popping off the heads of the dandelion, and taught them how to soak them, and they did the whole thing. So
And there's been a number of people in the chat here that have strayed into the alcoholic beverage area.
yeah, they make wine.
Make wine
Yeah,
and-
wine and mead. Yeah, Karen. Yeah, it took
So,
me a
yeah,
day.
your-
There's
your-
no
your
doubt.
show
That's like
has-
getting violets out of the yard.
Yeah, your show's just like a big tree. It's got so many branches it can crawl out onto.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're not, and I think that's why it makes sense that next year we're gonna probably change the name, because we're not just vegetable garden related. That is our, I guess, our focus, but we also like to talk about a number of things because it's. I think when you are a gardener, you have your hands in a lot of different things, or have the possibility to do so, for sure.
And with so many listeners, we are able to reach out and do topics in which we may have not have done in years past because of the local, just being in Milwaukee. Because of all the expansions that we've done, we can do a more in-depth conversation about hydroponics, or bring a mushroom expert on, or whatever the case is, in order to not only educate our listeners, but sometimes we bring guests on that we have no clue about what they do and how they do it, because we are interested in that particular educational aspect of our show too. We like to learn.
We had somebody who is very into like the zero waste lifestyle, the reduce your waste, reduce what you're throwing away essentially. And even if that's not something you're striving for, we still got some good ideas from her, and some truths about recycling and where your waste goes, and things like that. So there's a whole myriad of topics that we cover.
Okay, and Thomas Farm Okie is asking if you want to get rid of wasp, how would you suggest to do it? So that's I guess another thing. If you have a
I guess
a pest,
with
I guess.
I think wasps typically burrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the wasp nests and
Oh, yeah.
they make
They make
mud
nests.
daubers too.
Yeah. But if they're burrowing, so say you have like a wasp hole beneath like a garage or shed or something, which is pretty common from what I understand, you could try to plug that hole, and then that way they would not live there anymore. If you have a nest, that's probably an entirely different
Eradication process.
eradication.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
What was it that got me that one year?
those were ground hornets.
Ground hornets.
Yeah,
I was
those were just
pulling
nasty.
weeds in my herb garden. Never thought about it, and all of a sudden,
Yeah, they were all over.
I felt something sting me, and then I looked, and it's like I had the community, and I go running. By the time I got to the back door, I was pretty much stripped down to my underwear,
I was
and I
watching.
still had them on me. I couldn't sleep. I was such in pain.
So I don't know if that's the right answer or a good answer, but plug the hole if they're under the ground, and if they're in an eave or a barn or a public area where you are going to be, community area where you're going to be at regularly, or your family's going to be at, sometimes the stuff in the bottle that spray, the wasp spray, is the best way to get rid of them, because they're going to affect your everyday life if they're in a common area.
Well, here's something very interesting that somebody has put in the chat. Big Dreams Homestead has said, we have a company that comes out and removes wasps for free. They freeze dry them and use the venom for anti-venom for those that are allergic to them.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's something that you have in your local area.
Like the bee people will come out and extract the beehive and then
Yeah.
take it back and build their,
the bee rescue.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever they are, yeah.
Yeah.
See, give and take. We learned something
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
All right. So, okay. Joey, Holly, I certainly want to thank you folks for taking your time here this evening. And I think it's been very educational as well as enjoyable. You got any last thoughts here for anybody that's in the chat here?
Well, we appreciate everybody watching and listening to us. If you do have a question, you can certainly get a hold of us by going to our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, or you can do it two other ways. You can send us an email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You will get an answer back, and we might use that information, that question, on our radio program. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can call us anytime at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-SHOW. If you have a pondering question at 3:30 in the morning, call us up, leave a message. It'll ring in the studio. We're not going to answer it at 3:30 in the morning, but we will then address it during our normal business hours, and we will give you a call back. And based on if you're interested in being on the show, we will bring you on the show whenever we record the show. And but yeah, 1-800-927-SHOW or gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Certainly, whether you got a question, a comment, or just to say hi, certainly can do that.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody that came on the chat and asked questions, and I hope the lucky winners enjoy their free Matchbox car or whatever they're getting. I don't know.
A new car.
Dashboard, dancing monkey, whatever.
Oh, that'd be fun. Solar power?
Solar power,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I wanted to say a special thank you to all of our moderators out there and all of our members that have joined Smudge's group on Two Family Homestead here. If you'd like to become a member of Two Family Homestead, just click that join button right underneath the video here, and we would love to have you aboard. Anything else from you, hon?
Nope.
All right, next week, folks, we are going to have another couple that a little bit different. And they're called the Butcher, Baker, and the Queso Maker.
Oh, you said it right.
Yes, I
Have
did.
you been practicing?
I practiced that all day today.
Trust me, folks, that's the first time he got it right, because usually it's Quesno. That's why I was sitting here staring at him. Yep.
All
And
right.
They're at Jason's. So they'll be coming from Georgia.
All right. So,
Doing the show from Georgia.
all right. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Tomorrow night we'll do our Tuesday Tech Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And you got any questions, just send us an email, twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and take care. Have a good evening. Good night, folks.